Norcia sits in the hills just over 130 kilometres from Perth. It's the only monastic town in Australia and was founded in 1846 by Dom Rosendo Salvado and Dom Joseph Serra. A party of 5 men set out from Perth to establish a mission. Initially, they inadvertently settled on land that was owned by a Mr. Macpherson, and later had to move the site of their mission to where it sits today. Times were very tough to begin with, and when money ran out, Dom Salvado walked back to Perth to raise funds. He was successful, but on his return to the fledgling mission, he found his companions in great distress. One had died, and another had a nervous breakdown and had to be sent back to Perth. One story recounts that the man who was killed was accidentally shot, while the other was loading a gun in preparation to go hunting. Dom Serra and Dom Salvado had to return to Perth the following year, and when they returned to the mission again, they found their hut damaged and crops trampled. It was about this time they learned of Macpherson's ownership of the land, and had to relocate 8 kilometres to the present site. The initial stages of establishing the mission had not gone very well. A formal application for a lease was made, and this was finalised in August 1847. A number of local tradesmen and builders came to the aid of the missionaries and helped them to get the place properly established. The town was named after Norcia, the birthplace of St. Benedict. The building style is said to be Spanish Gothic, and no fewer than 27 of the buildings are classified by the National Trust. There are 2-hour guided tours of the town, starting at 11 a.m. and another at 1:30 p.m. daily. The tours can be booked from the museum. The tours are very good and allow visitors to see areas inside the buildings that are normally not open to the public. Apart from the spectacular nature of the buildings, there's a museum and art gallery which contains some superb exhibits. The museum contains the largest collection of religious art in the Southern Hemisphere. Not all of the art is on display at the same time, due to space constraints. In 1986, the biggest art theft in Western Australia's history occurred at the sleepy little town of New Norcia. 2 masked men bound and gagged the attendant, 61-year-old Connie McNaughton, and made off with precious works of art from the monastery's collection. Quick work by the police meant that the thieves were caught, as they were trying to fly out of Sydney. They were found to be rather stupid vandals as well as thieves. Obviously not having too much brain power, they'd rolled up the canvases and damaged them, so even trying to sell them on the black market would have been almost impossible, and at best would have seriously lowered their value. The police had tracked down the robber's car by taking tyre print moulds and recovering a fingerprint from the gift shop. The thieves had rented the car, but had done little to disguise their true identities. It took many years and a reported $200,000 to restore the artworks. Sadly, one was damaged beyond repair. The restored artworks were returned to display in 2006. The foundation stone was laid in March 1847, and by the following year the mission had 18,000 acres under lease. In 1878, both Dom Serra and Dom Salvado were called away to different tasks, and for a while the mission seemed to be more of an agricultural enterprise than a religious one. The mission expanded rapidly to almost 1 million acres, and other landholders complained that the mission was acquiring all the best parcels of land in the area. Dom Serra returned to Perth, but not to New Norcia. He was busy establishing Subiaco, and when Dom Salvador returned some years later, he found he was now subordinate to Dom Serra. New Norcia was administered by the Perth diocese, and this was to become the source of some friction between the two men. 6 years after Dom Salvador had returned, the mission was finally given control of its own affairs. Dom Salvador was eventually created a bishop and abbot nullius, the only mitred abbot in Australasia at the time. After 55 years working at New Norcia, he was recalled to Rome in 1899, where he died in December 1900. His remains were brought back to New Norcia and now lie entombed in the church where he worked so tirelessly to establish the mission. A flour mill has operated here since 1850, and the old flour mill is the oldest surviving building in the town. The new mill, constructed in 1879, is still in operation and produces flour for making bread. It is the oldest working mill in Western Australia and may be the oldest in Australia. The monks produce excellent bread, and it's for sale through the visitors centre. Other products available for sale include ale, wine, jam, and much more. The European Space Agency has located a deep space ground station on land belonging to the monastery. The dish and peripheral support structures cost $28 million to construct. The project started in 2000 and the dish went into operation in 2003. As well as ESA projects, the remotely operated dish is involved in work for NASA. One of the most important projects was the Rosetta mission, launched in 2004. It put a spacecraft 900 million kilometers out into space to study Comet 67P. On November the 12th, 2014, a probe landed on the comet, in what was a first for space exploration. The first mission the station was involved in, Mars Express, was unfortunately a failure when the Beagle 2 lander failed to send back any signals from the surface of Mars. There's an interesting exhibit in one of the education rooms, and a short 8-minute film gives you some interesting information on this project. There are campsites available both for those with self-contained vehicles and anyone needing facilities such as power, toilets and showers. Another accommodation alternative is the monastery guest house. The former colleges are also available for accommodation for group bookings. The hotel that used to be available for the general public is now only available for pre-booked groups. The main highway now bypasses the town, and this means that the large haulage vehicles no longer thunder through the heart of the town. This has returned a peace and quiet to the town that's long been absent. Apart from just walking around the town itself, there's also a river walk available. You can pick up a brochure from the visitors centre.